Our contemporary world has been built upon the belief that economic growth is positive. Worldwide politicians talk about how fast the economy is growing, as if this is so wonderful. Yet, if we study the reality of today's world, economic growth is now destroying the Earth's living systems. This threat to our contemporary life should fill the headlines of today's news. It should be discussed, I think, in every family, in every neighborhood. It is really that important. Baha'u'llah, the prophet founder of the Baha'i faith, warned us in the middle of the 19th century not to overleap the bounds of moderation. If we overleap moderation, he said, it can bring great evil upon men. If the world has not overleaped the bounds of moderation, then I really don't understand the meaning of this warning by Baha'u'llah. In the United States, we see discussions almost every day about racial inequality. For so many years, these issues were not properly addressed. So I think there's so many issues today. Well, discourse is needed. When we have discourses about many issues, we're going to see that a global civilization is a very large element of the solution to these problems. Let's look at some examples. The facts indicate that today we are overshooting the biocapacity of the planet by 60% or more. And every day we consume even more, and every day it gets even worse. If we want to talk about water or land or soil or fossil fuels or the growth in world production, all of these things and even more are resulting in the overuse of the Earth's resources and is leading us towards an eventual catastrophe. What can we do to conserve the resources of the planet? Individually, probably not very much. We can do something, of course, but in order to work on these issues, and I think all of us must work on these issues, then local communities also need to be fully engaged. Discourses, discussions about integration and disintegration need to take place on every level, starting with families and neighborhoods. Social discourse is a major activity of Baha'i communities. The serious issues for community discourse are really numerous. Discourse, I think, includes reading the current reality, learning more about the issues. We need to talk together about the issues and to think about the positive actions that can be taken in the nearest possible future, because time really is of the essence. Today we have the pandemic of the coronavirus. Every day I'm sure all of us follow the news of this pandemic. So what needs to be done? What can we do? What seems obvious is that a transformative change is required, which really relies, I think, on the stirrings of the grassroots. For example, I think our healthcare system must be improved, made available and affordable for all people, rich, poor, black, white, brown, red, working together at local, regional, national, and also international levels. Then there's climate change, which can lead to much worse than the coronavirus pandemic. Issues related to fossil fuels, mega industries spewing carbon dioxide, chasing profits in the next quarter, mega agricultural producers, more and more cars, and so much more is contributing to climate change. We need to learn all the facts about climate change and then talk about it. Climate change is really an urgent subject of discourse that needs to start with families even, then communities, then regions, then nations. This is an issue that really we're not addressing significantly, as the climate protesters, the young people of today, are talking about almost every Friday. Perhaps an integrative idea would be to find some way to support the youth that are protesting against climate change. We live on one planet. We are one people. And there has to be a worldwide collaboration and working together in order to be able to solve the climate crisis. Well, thank God for young people. They are learning about climate risk and they want to see mitigation. In my opinion, and the opinion of many, climate change is not sufficiently addressed from the top. The Baha'i community places great emphasis on children and youth. Historically, youth movements often catalyze change. It may be that the future of our world is in the hands of the youth. and not our political leaders. Who knows? We need to support these movements. The Guardian wrote that he could not see how Baha'is could remain indifferent to vital issues of the day. I'm sure that nobody is indifferent, but without social action, it sometimes looks like indifference, particularly to those outside of the Baha'i community. Coronavirus, climate change, economic growth all interact on the local, national, and international levels. In the Rizwan letter of the Universal House of Justice, the Baha'i community's response to the pandemic has been called outstanding, making reference to the resilience and undiminished vitality of the Baha'i world in the face of a challenge which has no likeness in living memory. There is much capacity for discourse and social action, and much needs to be done. Looking at the news during the last couple of weeks, we see much agreement about the issue of racial prejudice in the United States and the readiness of many to arise and to work for transformative change. In addition to the Baha'i community, there are other groups that are working for many of the same ideals of the Baha'i faith. I think that in addition to Baha'i discourse and social action, partnership with other groups, particularly youth groups, will help raise these subjects to a level where societies around the world, God willing, will stand up, find agreement, and take action together.